Okay, good evening, everybody. This is the Public Works Committee meeting for October 7th, 2025. It's now 7 p.m. First order of business, we'll call the roll. It looks like we have a quorum. We have myself, Jim Frayer, Barbara Smith, Ann Winstrand, and Darlene Young. And we'll probably have a few more that'll join in between. Next order of business is the acceptance of the minutes, and we have two sets of minutes from our meeting on July 1st and again on August 2nd. So we'll take the July 1st ones first. Does anybody have any comments or questions, corrections?
I'll move it.
Okay, thank you.
Comments.
Seeing none, I'll ask for all those in favor of accepting the minutes. 1, 2, 3. That's unanimous. Motion to move the minutes, approval of the minutes for August 5th, 2025. Do we have a motion to accept those minutes? Ann, thank you. Ann Winstrand, thank you. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of accepting the minutes as presented? That's unanimous. Thanks. Okay. Next is public participation. Do we have anybody on the line that wishes to address the committee?
We do. Ms. Larchell, you're unmuted.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Frayer, members of the council and staff. I would be remiss in my duties as a human and an environmental advocate and professional if I did not speak at the last meeting of the DPW council meeting, which within its duties and mission holds so much that I care about related to waste management, effectively, recycling, reusing, and the like. There have been many, I'm at 21 Little Fox Lane, and my name is Diane Loricella. There have been many good movements forward related to waste management and recycling. The efforts, the intentions are good, but because some of you may not be helping govern us after November 4th, and there may be new faces, and maybe many of you will come back, I wanted to make sure that the next group of council members and staff remember that members of the public should be included in some of the decision-making about waste management and recycling. I have asked for numerous iterations of this council, not just Mr. Frayer, but many of his predecessors, Ms. Smith and others, that they have a special blue ribbon task force of people that care about recycling and reusing. I have also put forth the possibility of a swap shop, because when I go to the transfer station, I see a lot of things that could be reused being thrown away. I do think because you are starting to prepare the budget, that's why I decided to speak for the few seconds I have left. We can reduce our trash cost by having a much more optimized and holistic recycling reuse program in our schools. And I know there is an effort being made for food scraps, although I was totally left out of the procedure after I nicely sent a letter to the Board of Ed, as well as Sustainability and the Mayor's office. I believe all of our voices should count when we want to volunteer our expertise, of which I have. And I am currently on the Governor's Council, Connecticut Equity and Environmental Justice Advisory Council to the governor, and I am the waste co-chair. That would mean something to most cities and towns, but while we do speak when I reach out to you, I would like a little more of reciprocity I know Mr. Frere had asked me to make suggestions. Unfortunately, this summer, I had a lot of chaos in my household. So I plan, Mr. Frere, assuming you're back, that I will be offering up that material and information. But I do think there are many others in the public that you should reach out to, make it fun. Let's reduce the trash costs and really upgrade our recycling of not only recyclables list, but also food, and increase donations of food before we need the scrap. Thank you for your time, and I will listen to the rest of the recording later. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Larcella. Are there any others that wish to address the committee?
There are not.
Okay, then we'll close the public participation for the evening, and just let the record note that Ms. Najelski-Eitner and Ms. Dunn have also just joined. Okay, moving on to new business. First item that we have is the 2026 meeting dates, which were included. Do I have a motion to accept those dates? Ms. Young, does anybody have any questions about them? It's pretty straightforward. It's once again the first Tuesday of every month, and it looks like the only possible conflict we might have is on November 3rd, which is an election day someplace. Seeing no comments, no questions, all those in favor of accepting these dates? That's unanimous. Thank you. B, it's authorize the purchasing agent to increase the purchase order for the first amendment of the April 9th, 2024 agreement between the City of Norwalk and Burns Construction Company for project PM 2024-2 permanent roadway repairs and surface restorations by an amount not to exceed $150,000. Accounts so noted. Do we have a motion to, or do we have a second to this? Do we want to move this item? Ms. Young, or Ms. Smith, thank you. We have with us Wilbur Giron. Would you like to talk a little bit about this? This is an interesting point that I think that we should make people aware of, that this addition, when we have Burns filling these, this is a construction or a restoration of some of the roads that have been worked on before. It's not only just the filling in the trenches that were dug, but it's also to get out some of the take care of the potholes and any other failures in the road, so that they don't become a problem in the future. So Wilbur, do you want to give us a little update on this?
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Wilbur Giron, permit engineer for DPW, and I manage the roadway restoration contract. So this contract is responsible for doing all the trench repairs that are performed by private utilities around the city. We go back and restore them after a settlement period, and we collect fees from the permit applicants to fund that restoration effort. So as of lately, we've been making sure that all the trenches are restored, and we go a little beyond of what the trench itself is to make sure that the rest of the roadway is in good shape for a longer lasting product. And because of that, we're asking to increase the contract value to go back and finalize a couple more trenches that still need repair from work that was performed for last year. Happy to go into details or ask or answer any questions that the committee may have.
No questions? Any comments? Okay. Seeing no comments or questions.
Chair, I have a comment, but I don't think
Okay.
it really is directly related to this, but I'll vote on it, but I do have a question
ahead.
Mr. Giron may be able to answer. I won't ask now. We can vote on the item. I just wanted to make sure I can ask this question.
Sure. Okay, all those in favor? That's, Ms. Eitner, can you hear us? Yes. I think she disappeared again. I'll assume she's voting for this. Ms. Young, you want to say something?
Yeah, she had,
That's-
Nora has her hand up. She
Okay,
put her
I
hand
got
up.
it.
Yeah, I got it.
Good. So that
Yes,
was
so
unanimous.
I'm not sure who I brought this up to, but just because we're talking about roadways, you know, if you take a ride down South Main Street and you're going on to West Avenue, it's people are avoiding the manhole covers. I guess that's all I can say. They are that there's so many that cars are, and I'm guilty of it too, because I think as they lift the manhole covers or they're doing work, then the covers sink down. And maybe I'm not describing this correctly, but then when you ride over it, it's you know, you ride over it and it's bumpy. James, I see you coming in. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
I mean, if I follow people, we're constantly just zigzagging just to avoid all of these covers. And I'm just wondering,
yeah, I assume you're talking about the area of construction itself. There's going to be milling in the area starting on West Avenue tomorrow. I'll be talking about this a little bit later on, but I can mention now.
oh, okay.
Yes,
wasn't
but
sure.
in regards to the structure, they are contractors are required to alleviate those areas by placing asphalt around those. I will look into that specific one. I was not aware of that specific area, but I will look into that tomorrow. Make sure that the contractor has that of the scale. It's not bothering drivers there. So there's quite a bit of milling going to be going on, but yeah, that's going to be something that will be remediated if it's not done already.
Okay, thank you.
So I think what you're talking about is that as you see one of the, where there is a manhole, it kind of dips down. It's
It
like an
dips down.
indentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's.
But there's
it's
so
a-
many in South Norwalk, like that are
Right.
just right next to each other that people are really, I mean, you just trying to avoid them, and it just isn't.
Is this old? I'm sorry, maybe I'm not clear. Is this recent construction or?
You
This
know,
is in
I'm
front
not
of
sure
Sono.
what the
Sono,
cause is, but if you start from,
I
Probably
have an
fi-
answer to that.
okay, but if you start from the intersection of South Main and where the police department is, and you just keep going, you know, if you're going past the mall, just keep going straight. I mean, it's just, it's pretty bad.
Okay. Recent paving, it's not unusual to pave slightly higher than structures for the time being because
Mhm.
asphalt, as you know, settles over time. I don't know the specific one. I can look into that, but if that is something, especially if it is more of a recent paving project. But other than that, but I will definitely look into the particular area for that one to see if what recent activity is in there, what could be remediated there.
Great.
You
Thank
know,
you.
where I notice it particularly bad is when I'm going past the Sono Mall, going south on Main Street and then
Right.
coming up and heading toward Martin Luther King Drive. There's a lot of indentations, and it appears that where you've had a manhole, that you'd almost need an extension to raise that manhole up a little bit to make it even with the surface.
Yep.
In other
I
words,
just
the
wa-
manhole seems to
I
be
ju-
lower than the surface. I'm
Mhm.
sorry.
So
Ms.
I
Bennett.
just want to add a couple of things. So usually when we're paving the roads, yes, we need to, most of the time we add a few inches to the elevation of the existing road because we're adding more materials. So we usually also, it's part of the contractor's job to also bring the manholes to the street level. We have been noticing, particularly during the winter, because our trucks, the plow ended up hitting those that are not leveled. So we have been, operations has been really working throughout the city this whole year, identifying the ones that needs to be adjusted, that sometimes was not even caused by us, could have been by some type of settlement or something like that. And we are already doing the work in-house to try to make it more even. But we're gonna definitely have operations also looking at that area because we do not have any paving project coming up in the next few months for the area that you're describing. So I'm gonna ask them to take a look tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, can we move on? We'll go to number 2 now, and what I'd like to do here is I'd like to get a motion to suspend the rules for, since the item that you got in your packet have been changed, and I think Ms. Valadares sent out a note to all of us with the corrected numbers and the corrected items C1 and C2. So can I have a motion to suspend the rules on and substitute the C1 and 2 that was in your packet to the new C1 and 2 that you got in the email today? Ms. Young made that motion. All those in favor? Okay, so that's you, and I'll assume Ms. Najelski-Eitner on the train is in favor of that. Yes, she is. Thank you. Okay, so let me read this. C1 is authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute an agreement with Kelowna Concrete and Asphalt Paving LLC for the City Purchasing Department Project 4467, Project STR 2025-1, replacement of the Lexington Avenue retaining wall, 11, 19, and 21 Snowden Street for the alternate number 1 bid for an amount not to exceed $395,895. Accounts so noted. I'm going to read both of them together. C2, authorize the Chief of Operations and Public Works to execute orders on the contract with Kelowna Concrete and Asphalt Paving LLC for City Purchasing Department Project 4467, Project STR 2025-1, replacement of the Lexington Avenue retaining wall, 11, 19, and 21 Snowden Street, the alternate number 1 bid, the amount not to exceed $39,589.50. Accounts so noted. Could I have a motion on that?
Go ahead,
Ms.
Heather.
Dunn. Ms. Dunn, thank you. This is to do the a retaining wall on Lexington Avenue that backs up to Snowden Street. And we have with us Paul Stotnick that can give us some background on this, I believe.
Yeah, before Paul, let me just explain about the project, what caused this, first trigger that, and then we can go over the bidder. So some of you may be aware that this is a retaining wall that kind of collapsed, I would say probably maybe 3-4 years ago, right, Ms. Young? Maybe around that time. Yeah, about 4, right? I cannot hear you, but I believe that's what you were saying.
Yes, at least during COVID, yes.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we haven't been very successful with all the property owners to rebuild the wall, but ended up, it's really an emergency because we know that if we don't reestablish that retaining wall, we are concerned that it is, if you drive by, there is a big change of elevation between Lexington and the other street. And we're concerned that it's really an issue considering everything that can come down to the street. And also we're blocking all the pedestrian transit throughout that sidewalk. So considering that there is also with a new school that was just opened this late summer, we know that the traffic also in that area will increase. So we are using some of the money that is allocated to that neighborhood to be able to really repair the wall. And we ended up putting this bid together and we had 2 options for the bid. One, the base bid that was really the precast with the stone veneer wall. And then the second one was the alternate that is a form liner that Paul will be able to show you examples of what we are proposing there. Unfortunately, due to the extent of the work that needs to be done, there's a lot of excavation, and it's not only repair the part that is damage of the wall. We have to actually replace a little bit further than what is there, so we can have a proper anchor to the existing structure. The cost ended up being for the precast much higher. So what we are doing is that we are proposing to award Colonna for the alternate one that Paul will be able to share the pictures. We have already used the form liner in different areas in town. And after we usually stain, and it has a very good aesthetic look. So that's what is the project. I also want to apologize for having to suspend the rules and change the value. When we check one more time this afternoon, we noticed with purchasing that there was a mistake. There was a discrepancy between the written number from the contractor and the number that he put as numerical. And that's why, but when we did all the math and confirm with them, what was written was the right one. So that's why we had to change last minute the agenda, and we really apologize for that. So I'm gonna just now pass to Paul, so he'll be able to share the screen and then just show you what is a form liner will look like for that area. So we have few options, and then we'll be able to choose one of them in the future.
And everyone see the screen? Okay, as Chief Aladero has described, there were two options that we put out to bid to get prices on. One was a cast-in-place concrete wall that would have a stone facing, and the other
Excuse me a
was
second, Paul, would you mind just maybe getting rid of the tools on the side? Maybe that'll make the picture a little bit larger.
Okay, and I'm gonna blow it up to make it a little easier too.
Yeah.
And I'll scroll down on the page to make it easier to see. So these, when we put it out to bid, we basically got the two prices. We had the stone facing, and we had the precast form liner that Chief Aladero is referring to, and it's a modular block wall that's precast elsewhere and then brought to the site with reinforcing that we call the geogrid that goes into the ground to hold it in place, plus the weight of the wall. And these are some different options that you have for the different manufacturers. There's a wide variety to look at. This is just to give you an idea of what it could look like based on the prefab modular wall. These are some other ones. This area does have a steps in the wall, so you can see it's got the ability to be stepped. If the fence needed to be put in, which in this case doesn't, but if it did, you can put fences in. And then you also have some of the other types of finishes. You can see where they have steps and also blocks that have a texture to the face of the larger blocks. But that's essentially what the different precast modular block walls look like. And in getting the bids back that we had, the bids came back where this was the most economical one to go with for what we were looking to accomplish down at that site. The wall is 160 feet long, which is a decent sized length of wall, and it varies in height. There's two heights, 4 feet high, and then 6 feet section, and then it goes back down to 4 foot height. So that pretty much describes the project, and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so that you can see some more of the overall options to give you an idea of what they look like to make it a little easier to see. And if there's any questions, I can answer any questions that you have. And if
So are you saying that we have to select one of these? One of
There,
these-
in the specifications, of the bid package, there were,
You guys are not making any choice today. We're just showing, because it's not, the precast that will be with the stone veneer. And that will be the form liner, that those will be the options and how it looks, a form liner. Because we believe that some, people that may be, in the call do not know exactly what a form liner will look. So we understand that the look for that wall was also important, and we believe we can achieve very close to a real stone wall using the form liner. So that's what is more for information. So you guys are not choosing anything today.
yeah. This is just some
When-
pictures from the specifications, the manufacturers that were mentioned, just some pictures from their websites. As Chief Aladera said, this is nothing of a selection or anything. It's just to give you an idea of the difference between cast in place with a stone facing versus a precast form liner wall.
I do have a comment. So I hope when we choose what the surface is going to look like, that it at least maintains some of the character of some of the other stone structures along Lexington and in the area. Because right next to it is a really, I'm sure it is a historical home that's kind of built into the ledge and the rocks over in that area. I think we talked to the neighbor, so I would really hope that we do that. But it's a lot of work,
Yes.
so thank you.
There are a wide variety of different textures and colors to choose from based on the manufacturers, but as Chief Aladera said, this is just a sample to give you an idea of what's out there and the difference. And precast doesn't necessarily have to look like a concrete block.
Great.
And I can,
Ms. Smith, you.
And,
you-
just a quick comment, just piggybacking on Ms. Young's comments, which of course you want to be as close as possible to what's in the neighborhood, but I don't particularly like the one on the bottom right. Just want to throw that out there.
at the point where we're ready to look at it, we can talk more about it. But like I said, this is just an idea to give you that
Yeah.
a precast block wall isn't necessarily going to be precast concrete blocks just stacked up.
Understood.
Can I ask another question, Chair? So what's the timeline?
So I can answer that. Unfortunately, we are still hoping, like,
Did we lose her?
Yeah.
Do you want me to stop sharing?
Maybe, yeah, that might help. Let's
Yeah,
try
may
that.
try that, Paul. Vanessa, you're on mute.
I don't know, Zoom kicked me out, I'm sorry. Ms. Young, we hope that we can break ground this year. But again, we are, just to be realistic and very transparent, today is already October. By the time we have a contract with the contractor will be most likely end of this month. And then we need to see if we can fit on the schedule. And we have also some issues about pouring concrete because the footings of that wall will be in concrete during the winter. So we need to see if we can really do this year still, if we'll be, depending if we have a mild weather and if the contractor is willing to do, we'll do this. Otherwise, we'll be first thing in the spring.
Great.
Well, it is a priority for us to get this done.
Great. Thank you.
So all those samples we saw of different facings, are any of those significantly more or less expensive?
Same price. It's
They're
just,
both
yeah, it's just the manufacturer. The way that it is really the form of the concrete comes already like that. When we pour, they take it out, already has that
Yeah.
pattern. One thing also that I want to remind everybody is that we are doing this work on someone's property. So I think that also the input from the homeowner will be important. That's why we're not putting for you guys to choose here in the meeting. We want to make sure that, as everybody stated, blend with the neighborhood, but also, you know, we're repairing a couple of private walls there that needs to get done, and we want to make sure that everybody's happy.
Great. That's what we're here for, make people happy. Any other comments or questions on this item? Okay.
You
I'll-
know, I just want to say that you know, it's been a long time that stretch of sidewalk has been in that condition, really making it impassable and for a very long time with the Jersey barriers. But I'm happy that we're finally getting to a point where we're going to fix it, and hopefully we will not have that for another 200 years. That will be sustainable. It's definitely an improvement to the 3 properties that abut that this project. So thank you, Paul and Vanessa and everybody, for finally getting to
Great.
this thing.
So I'll call a vote for this. All those in favor? That looks unanimous. So thanks very much. One last item, D, authorize the mayor, Harry W. Rilling, to execute any and all agreements and other documents necessary to accept a temporary construction easement over a portion of 779 and 789 Connecticut Avenue for the purposes of and as may be necessary for constructing a public sidewalk in the city's right-of-way along Connecticut Avenue. And it looks like we have Ben Young here today to explain it. This is right in front of Costco, which will be a new sidewalk in front of their new construction, I guess.
Yeah, thank you, Councilman Freire. So this is a critical sidewalk gap that we've known about for a while, and we're actually engaged with WestCog on a holistic corridor study for Route 1 all the way from the Darien Town Line all the way up to Van Buren. And this is one of the locations that was identified as an issue. The fact that for this stretch going into Darien, you have to cross the street to stay on the sidewalk to continue. So in February 2024, last year, Costco came before the Planning and Zoning Commission with their proposal for this new 2-level garage. Well, it was already 2-level, but now it's expanded, as many of you may have seen. It's really come along in recent months. They also have a new tire center. So they were doing a lot of construction. So when we were reviewing it, we wanted to see what sort of public realm improvements could be made or could be at least contributed to by Costco. So one of the things that we settled on was that Costco would provide an easement for future sidewalk construction along their frontage. They do have a sidewalk on part of it, but it only goes up to where their current driveway to the lower level is. The remainder of the frontage along Route 1 is without a sidewalk, and that includes a critical piece where Route 1 bridges over the 5 Mile River, kind of going into Darien. So this is something that we had commented on, and it was accepted by them as a condition of approval back last year. So now we're kind of going through the motions of formalizing this easement. And I will allow that we don't have a hard timeline on construction for this particular stretch of sidewalk. We do have lots of other active construction projects, and we're staying busy, of course. This is very much on our radar, and we do expect that one of the outcomes of this Route 1 study that I mentioned will be to eventually construct sidewalk here. But in any case, right now we want to lock down getting this temporary construction easement from Costco while we have them at the table, because they're actively engaged with our law department right now, because they're looking to get their sign-offs from the city on their project that they're wrapping up now.
So this is just for the easement. It has nothing to do with any kind of plans that we have for there, because this almost seems they doesn't seem to be a lot of urgency to get this done because that sidewalk's gonna go nowhere, really. It's gonna go
Yeah,
up to
I
the
mean,
river.
yeah,
There's
so
nothing on the other side of the river right now, anyway.
right, yeah, on the other side of the river, you do have a pretty major interchange. You have an exit ramp from 95, which is gonna, yeah, that actually lies within the town of Darien. So, you know, eventually, as part of a larger master plan, we'll have to figure out what to do there. But that's sort of the nuts and bolts of what we're figuring out in this master plan study with Westcog right now. So, you know, we do expect, and it is, you know, somewhat on our wish list to get this sidewalk built, to complete, you know, any remaining sidewalk gaps along this stretch of Route 1, a very busy commercial corridor. So I think that whatever we can do right now to make it easier for ourselves in the future, we should try to advance.
Yeah, I think I neglected to get a motion on this item. So do you want to move that item and then ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Dunn moves the item and then has a question.
Is there any, I know that we've done some different movements with our bus stops. Is there, and I know that's not under you necessarily, but are you aware, is there a bus stop in front of Costco? And maybe is that an opportunity to have a covered bus shelter maybe? Would be a good.
As far as I know, yeah, the bus stop is still there. Whether that's NTD or CT Transit, I think it was CT Transit. So you know, that's something we can definitely explore. There's a full 20 feet of width between the curb and their property line, and then this easement gets us another 10 feet to play with should we need to regrade anything. So we have a lot of room to work with.
That would just be my wish list if you could ask, please. I think that would help people. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? But you know, what kind of a timeline are we looking for on something like this? Or is that just not on the drawing boards right now?
As I said, I'm not sure what the timeline would be. You know, we do have other priorities sort of already in motion, in progress at the moment. I think our first step is really to work with Westcog and finalize this master plan study, and then we can look at Route 1 holistically and figure out which pieces of roadway improvements along Route 1 could give us the biggest wins in the near future. And then, you know, long term, we can think about what can be added to future capital budgets.
Okay, great. Any other questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, it's unanimous again. So thanks very much, Ben.
Thank you all.
Okay. Next on the agenda, we have reports, tree operations from I think Chris is going to give us an update on the July and August tree reports.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. For the month of July, which is July 1st through August 1st, we had 51 removals and 53 safety prunings. Early that month, if you don't recall, we had a wind rain event where we had 83 locations with storm debris. So that work went through July and carried into August, in which we had 23 removals and another 47 safety prunings. But luckily, we're caught up with everything, and the locations and species are noted if anyone wants to look. I do want to also say what a wonderful experience I had this morning on Meadow Street at the mini forest or the micro forest. I think it adds a lot of character to the neighborhood, and I hope that we as a city incorporate that in future projects where applicable. So good job, everyone involved with that. I was not, but good job and kudos to everyone that was involved with that.
Yeah, that's great. It was a really impressive showing today. I did have a couple of questions on this. So, you know, the 51 removals that you have, I started to look back, and I think what caught my eye, and I'll be quite blunt, I don't necessarily look at every single line on this, Chris, but there was one line where it said, now, of course, I can't find it, but I think it was in the August report where it said there were saplings removed. And this was under the it's on page, yeah, it's on page 48 in the list of summary of work completed in right of ways. And it was number 59. It said in Rowayton Avenue, it was saplings removed. Why would we be removing saplings?
I don't know. That's a good question. I can find out for you, but it's not typical to remove something that was planted.
Yeah, well,
It may be a misprint, and when they may be referring to small weeds that they're considering trees that obstruct sightline, but I can find out about the August report for you.
actually, it's in the July report, I think. No, no, I'm sorry, it's August. But then I started looking at all of the reports, and I go back and I think, like, for example, you got 51 removals in July, and Parks property, I counted 7 for Parks property. Are these, when you say you removed 51 trees, is that in this long list of, what is it, 50, 60, some odd, 90, 100 items that you've got listed off here?
Yes,
That include
the Parks
tree
property, which
removes? How come that doesn't agree, though? So if it's got 51 and in Parks property, I only counted 7. School property, I don't see anything. And then right of way, I only see 8. So that's, you know, what's that? That's 15 items and 15 tree removals that I see in the detail list. But then when I go back and I look at your removals, it's 51. And 8 of those are from Olmsted. I'm just, you know, not to get into all the details on this, and maybe we could take it offline at some point. How are these statistics used, and am I wrong in adding these things up? Where are the school property details? I assume that the parks and the school and the right of way should all be on the details of that 100 some odd items.
all of the summary work in the Parks property are on there, 13 trees for the July. It 15 Calf Pasture Beach, 99 Calf Pasture Beach, 300 Grumman Avenue. I'm assuming that's Cranberry Park. There are 13
Right, if I go
locations
through
for
all
the
of
13
those,
trees.
if I go through all of those though, and I counted them all up, I only got 7 parks property and 8 city right of way. So I'm just,
I can't speak for the backup on that. I mean,
so the 100 and what is it, 96 items, that's said that 96 items is the summary of work completed city right of way. And I
Yeah,
would
but
think.
that includes debris removal, that includes
No, no,
trees
no,
at
but
multiple
it says,
locations.
but it says tree debris removal, trees pruned, trees removed. Okay. And so when I go back, when I look at the trees pruned, I get 7 trees pruned. But if I look up in this, you got more trees pruned. You got 10 trees pruned, and there's only 7 listed on the other sheet here, the backup sheet.
I can
I mean,
certainly
I
look
don't mean
into
to be
that.
nitpicky. I just don't understand how this is used.
It's used to keep our tree inventory. Typically, we have asset IDs to each tree.
That's what I
An
thought.
associated service request and work order. So all of the service requests, if you want, I can go through CityWorks and send you a gigantic PDF from when the request came in to we processed it and closed the request. That's typically how these are generated. If you want a more detailed list, I can certainly provide one if you help me with why you want a more detailed list.
I don't necessarily want a more detailed list, but I'm just trying to figure out how the thing works. That's all. There's 90, yeah, on the last page, you have 96 items, and specifically mentioned as to what they're for. And then you have a summary of completed parks property, which gets added to that. So you got the parks property, you got the right of way, but then there's nothing for school property. And you list in the summary, for example, 14 school property trees removed.
I mean, if you want me to guess, I can guess. Sometimes in
No, I don't want you to guess.
Sometimes in an event, we'll get a server request for a pruning, but Parks already pruned the tree. Now it's a tree debris. So was it pruned? It was, but not by us. It was by Parks. They do it. That's something that happens. That's why I asked if you wanted a more detailed, I can get you certainly a more itemized accounting of our tree practices.
I think all I'm asking is that, for example, on the first page of the July report, it says school property, 14 trees removed. When I go back and look at, I see summary of work completed, parks property. I see one Brian McMahon, 1 tree removed, but then I don't see any other school properties listed.
That is a good question, and I will get you an answer for it, and we can certainly
All right.
follow up. I'll send you an email, Chairman.
Yeah, let's follow up. Just I don't know if anybody. I don't want to waste anybody else's time. Maybe everybody else thinks it's fine, and but to me, and maybe I'm just some kind of number nerd that. When I see all these things, I always, how come they don't add up? How come they don't match? How come they don't tie up? So maybe we could just talk about this and you can explain it to me a little bit more and sure. I can understand.
Okay.
And then I won't bother you ever again.
All right. That sounds like a plan. I'm going to hold you to that.
Okay. All right. So moving on. Tom, do you want to talk a little bit about, or Vanessa, do you want to talk about the solid waste collection rollout, how we're doing? Give us an update on that. I know there's some people that are still asking for second bins and so forth.
I can let Tom talk because I was actually away for a few weeks and then he kept everything under control. They did a very good job, so he deserves the credit.
Stay away more often. Maybe you should stay away more often.
That's exactly what they told me when I was back.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Yeah, it's been a great past couple of months. As you guys could probably imagine, July was a little crazy. We were really working hard to make sure we got everything right. Really went above and beyond to try to educate residents on the new program. And accommodate anybody where they needed it. So the July collection numbers are probably pretty close to what they were last July. And we kind of anticipated that. As we got into August, things started to really kind of improve in relation to like collection violations or anything like that. We really got everyone, all their additional cart requests processed and delivered. So that brought us into September, where we really started to fine tune any last either issues, potential errors, or anything like that. So August went pretty well. In our sort of waste report there, we did see a typo on our sheet. I just caught it at the end of the workday today. We did end up 12% less for our curbside tonnage for August. I would anticipate we'll probably see another relative decline, maybe 10% or so again. And I think that will be a reflection of everyone changing their sort of household practices, whether it be switching to, reusable plates and things like that, or really just kind of monitoring what they throw out and trying to recycle more. So that was a really good process. You may also note the recycling at the curbside tonnage is down. That it will be mostly related to the larger condos that were taken out of the collection program. So we will see sort of a month-to-month comparison that is lower than last year. So we will have to wait sort of until next year to get a comparative baseline, but we do continue to push those recycling opportunities and education and information to residents.
How about feedback from individuals? I mean, are we still getting requests for second bins for the solid waste? Are we still getting complaints from some of the people? How come you stop picking up my recycling and so forth?
Yeah, we're starting to get less complaints. I think in July it was a big shock, but now we're seeing a lot of compliance. I did attend the Fall Fest at one of the local churches with a table of information on the city's programs and recycling and composting. And it was about pretty well balanced. A lot of people really like the aesthetics that you kind of get from a uniform bin collection system. But we do still have some people who wish they could either get a free extra bin or a larger one. But we have seen that the 65-gallon bin does fit most residents' needs.
So
Go ahead.
what
Go ahead.
what is your sense of the number of residents who are requesting right now larger bins? And I'm sure they're probably, larger family sizes that had 2 or 3 bins, and so now they're down to 60-gallon. And so I know that we talked about, or there may have been a larger bin, correct?
So what we had decided to go with was the option to purchase a second bin, because I think the way they had suggested in the plan was to stick to one size for now with the amount of staff we have. As we kind of allocate more options, it requires much more data and tracking. And I think through our process of this program changed, we did gather some data, but it also sort of shined a light on how much more information might be needed to really make a transition like that.
And so we're keeping track of that to potentially make some changes, and it sounds like you're saying is there an option for a larger bin?
At the moment, yeah.
I'm sorry, Tom. So I just want to remind everybody, when we may do another change in the program, as of now, of course, everything can change, would be more in 2027 when the idea based on our strategic plan is to bring back to council the option to expand citywide the collection, just for, again, same criteria that we follow today, less than 4 homes. So no commercial, but we, instead of just serving the area that we do, is to go and expand citywide. By then, we will be already 2 years into this new program, and then we're going to be able to really evaluate if we should also consider different beams. As of now, we are not considering because we are still pretty much phasing out the rollout and continuing educating the public. One thing that we noticed is that originally we were expecting over 1,000 extra beams to be added to our collection as extra ones. And I believe that we didn't sell to 50, right, Tom? I think that around there is.
Yeah, we're still under 200.
So we're still under 200.
Under
So
200.
Under 200. So the families that are buying it, we see two things. One is, yes, people that has a lot of people in their house, or they may have a different need, and then they buy this extra one. Or sometimes what we are noticing is some houses that may have more than one tenant, but not legal. Because remember, if it is legal, if it was a 2-family home, we deliver 2 beams there. But we noticed that in some areas that we deliver 2 beams, they have been asking for a 3rd one. So that we give to them. So that gives us a little bit of, we may believe that there is a 3rd family living in that space. But Chris and I, when we went to the microforest this morning, right, that today was the collection of South Norwalk. And he and I, we noticed that actually in a very populated area that usually we have a lot of issues during collection. Even before, we had a very, very, I would say, compliance neighborhood, right, Chris? We didn't see all the beams were out. There were only few that was with a little more extra beams, but it's still inside the garbage tote that we collect. We didn't see any overflow on the road, and some of the bigger houses that you could see that have more family, they bought the extra bins. So I think that looking at that neighborhood tell us a lot.
It did look very uniform today.
How are we tracking? So how are you tracking this? The satisfaction and then the folks who just aren't.
So all the inquiries go to customer service. So everybody that either want to do a complaint, want to request another bean, has any want to tell us something, goes to customer service, then is dispatched to Tom and his team. And then the first thing that they do is, first, we do have a master list that is actually, we're mapping now on who is really eligible for solid waste collection. So they check on that list and confirm what is the request, right? Is it because we miss, most likely we already clean up the list. It's very rare that we have kind of a miss. So most of the inquiries would be if they're eligible or not, that Tom and the team would reply, or if they want to buy an extra bin, also they check on the eligibility, and if they do, the team will send out instructions on how to pay for it. After payment is processed, we send to Winways to deliver that bin, and it's usually delivered now within a day. Usually we tell them that will be in a week, but we know that Winways has been very good in accommodating all the requests that we do, and that's how we do. So at the same time, we are keeping a master list with everybody that we are serving, plus how many bins was delivered to each address. Correct, Tom?
Yep.
Feel free to add more.
Also, we're meeting still bi-weekly with Winways, going over all of these matrix between DPW operations, the garage, DPW engineering with Joe. And it's a team effort, and it's ongoing, and all of the requests and complaints are getting logged. So we have a lot of data to present in 2027 when we do look to move forward.
That's a long time.
One thing that I believe that we can say that we're pretty much on the same level of calls that we were before we rolled out the new plan. Remember that, get a call about a misstop or an issue that someone put a material out they were not supposed to, an overflow was already part of our day-to-day activity. And according to Tom and the team, we're pretty much getting just the same volume of calls that was before. So pretty much that's why Tom said that the last month was a good month, because we're back to, let's say, the regular amount of calls and inquiries that we have been receiving.
Hey, Nora on the train.
Hi. Thankfully in the car, so you can hopefully hear me. So my question, since you're meeting with Win Waste bi-weekly at this point, can you speak to them about the transfer station on Meadow Street that is across from the school? I think I sent an email about this, but you can smell the trash at the school site from that transfer station. And it really seems to me that they should find a way to control the odor better, given that we have children there, given that they have a 10-year contract with the city. And, this.
Can't hear you, Nora.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you hear any of what I said?
The last few sentences, but most of the first. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So
Get back on the train.
You're cut off, but we certainly get what your point is.
Yeah, sorry, you can hear me now. Look, so yes, so the question is, what is Win Waste doing about the smell from their transfer station across from the new South Norwalk School?
Well, that transfer station, we don't have any service with them there. And Nora, the email that you sent, I believe that was PNZ reply to you, because I think that was more related to them, the question, than really with the operations related to the collection that we have with Win Waste. But definitely we'll share the concern with them in our next meeting.
Yeah, that would be great, because I do understand from Planning and Zoning's response that they did not see anything on their current zoning requirement that requires odor control. But again, this is a vendor of the city that is causing a significant pollution issue, and it seems to me like something they should take seriously.
We'll let them know.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So just to go back to the customer service calls, are there any more people asking for additional? I mean, the numbers that we were talking about, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, it was still below 200. Are they still coming in asking for more bins? Are there any other, same level of questions you're getting? But I think my concern would be, are they now, where you got complaints about not picking up the trash, but now there are complaints that have to do with the new bins, they don't work, or they're not big enough? What are they? Can we categorize those one way or the other?
Yeah, we do have like a broken down in CityWorks to identify what the complaint is or what the issue may be in regards to. So far, probably the last 3 weeks, we've only got maybe 4 additional garbage cart requests. We have seen an uptick in residents requesting recycling bins. I think a lot of people didn't recycle before, or maybe if it was a 3-family home, they only had 1 recycling bin. Now we're seeing much better utilization of those recycling bins, which I think is maybe a semi-predictable change to the program. And then in regards to like specific complaints, we really don't get too many of those anymore. Only the occasional person who might be unhappy with us not collecting an overflowing bin, or maybe a standard instance we might see day to day in a very low volume.
So what do we say to the people that we get comments from neighborhood associations and leaders and saying everybody in our neighborhood is up in arms because they need more trash bins, but it seems like that in the last 3 or 4 weeks, it's de minimis number of requests. And the other thing is, do they stop requesting when they find out it's going to cost them $300 or what?
They actually learn. I don't think it's really now the cost that is dropping the ask for an extra bin. I think that one thing, that's why in the beginning a lot of people were saying that they need a bin even before they start using the new bin. I think that now that they've been using, as we said, the size, it is really the average size for a family or for 7 days that can fit there. If everybody is doing their recycle, if they even have a chance to compost, it is suitable for most of the people. So I believe that people are realizing that they don't need to buy this extra bin as they expected in the beginning. And those that are continue to use, and then they are realizing that, maybe there is a house that has there are 2-3 babies on diapers, that will definitely may need this extra bin. And those are the ones that we're calling. We're not getting many complaints. We are not even, I think that again, it has been a very regular month for us.
Yeah.
Tom is looking very calm, as you guys can see.
I think we have a communication problem because, as Jim said, I think we always hear this. I mean, we continuously kind of just hear people complain, people are going to have their issues. And so it's almost, how do we, say that it seems to be working? How do we make that more public? What is that dashboard? Do we put any of that information on the city's dashboard? Like, just how are we letting people know in real time how we're managing this?
We don't
Well,
have
go
a
ahead.
dashboard for that. I think that what will happen is that, with all these numbers coming in that Tom just reported, it will start showing that the program is working. Another thing is that everybody that drives around the city can see that the program is working, right? I believe that most of the neighborhoods that we serve, you can see that it is very uniform and all the bins are out there on the right place, and there is not any overflow, and we are not seeing garbage everywhere. Are there complaints? Yes, there are. A lot of people do not like changes. We understand that some of the commercial that was left out, those are the people that would like to get back to the system. But this was a decision made to be more fiscal responsible, so we can protect all the taxpayers in the city. And again, it was a decision that was made, right, when the strategic plan was taken consideration. But again, we serve total about 47,000 residents, I believe, or combining garbage and recycling, or a little bit more than that.
By unit count, we do, I think, like about 18 to 19,000 for garbage, and then I think recycling's around 25,000.
So it is, we serve
and that sounds great. And I just think with something of this size, it's always better to just be able to communicate that with people, whether it's through the dashboard or some real-time measure that people can look and say, hey, it is working pretty well. And maybe then folks can kind of, see that they're, what we're doing. And
No, I think this is a very
I
good
think we
idea,
don't do
Luciana.
those sorts of things enough. And so sometimes you have to find different ways to alleviate that. We may know in-house, you guys have the numbers, but as council people, when you go out, that's what you hear. And so, you know, not everybody's going to listen to or jump onto a Public Works Committee meeting to hear this.
Right.
It would be great, but I just think that there's always an opportunity to let folks know in real time, or just however.
We'll come up with
how we
like
do
some
that.
ideas that
And
we
I
can
didn't know
push.
that we didn't have the dashboard anymore. I thought we spent so much time as a city
No,
that we
we
had the
don't have the
dashboard. So
dashboard.
that's
We don't
interesting.
have that on the
Yeah.
dashboard. We
Just
report a
some
lot
way
of
to have
things.
something more positive about what's going on.
Yeah, I think to Darlene's point, it's, you know, in dealing with some of the complaints that we've gotten, it's just you know, people just don't, we are being very transparent about the whole thing. But the fact of the matter is that they're not understanding when we're transparent. They don't understand the change. And I think that Vanessa and I had this conversation a couple of times when we were dealing with some of the people that were upset early on. But, you know, some of these things were one-offs that had happened, you know, and with the condominiums, that there were certain condominium associations that should have been commercial from the very get-go, but somebody had said, well, you know, we'll pick up your garbage for you. Or, you know, it was a mistake that they picked it up in the first place. You know, things like that. It's hard to explain to somebody that it was a mistake, and unfortunately, you're not entitled to it. So it's a very difficult thing to explain. Ms. Dunn.
I think my perspective is that people are seeing this as an additional cost. And I see it from sitting on this committee that we're being fiscally responsible. However, people are still seeing their taxes go up, and then they are also seeing an additional cost for garbage cans. And it's hard to explain to people that we're being fiscally responsible because they're connecting it and they're thinking that their taxes are, you know, it's going to save them money, but it's not, because our taxes are still going up. Trying to explain to them that their taxes would go up more if, you know, if our garbage collection went up, they don't understand. So you are getting backlash from something that you really can't control, and all we can do is try to explain it.
But I think that's the exact point that I'm talking about,
Yeah.
is that their garbage was being picked up and they weren't paying for it in the first place, okay? We're all paying for those of us who have garbage collection, except for those people on Row 8 and that have their own garbage collector. But any place else in the city, your taxes have been going to pay for that trash. But if you lived in a condominium association, that trash was not supposed to be picked up in the first place. So you are actually costing the city more money by having the city pick it up. And maybe that's why your taxes have gone up, okay?
I think it's just a double
about that.
whammy for them. It's like their taxes
No,
go up.
it's the
and they're
change.
facing
It's the change,
or-
and I think that we've
Yeah.
got to be, you know, got to really be frank about it and tell people that this is what the truth is. You know, I remember a lawyer telling me one time, said, Jim, if they ever corner you, you can always tell them the truth. And I mean, that's exactly what we're doing. We're saying, look, this is what it is. You know, yeah, you got a free ride for the last 5 years, but you know, and that's why your taxes went up. Now you're going to have to pay like everybody else. You've been getting a free ride. Just because you didn't get just because you didn't get a trash bill every month doesn't mean that you weren't paying for it.
Again, you know, this is our highest operating cost.
Yeah.
It is throughout the whole public works, the highest operating cost that we have is the solid waste. And unfortunately, it is not a problem. It's not only a Norwalk problem. It is a national problem. It is a global problem. And it's not going to change. You know, people are still producing each day more and more garbage. There is no place to send the garbage. Landfills are causing a lot of other environmental issues that people are trying now to resolve. So unfortunately, there is not a solution on the short term that will really revert that cost. So I think that the city was very proactive in trying to address something right at the beginning until this cost got to a point that we'll have to totally get out of the business. But I heard Ms. Young, I think that I'm gonna come up with back to the team and see how we can promote that is working. And I hear exactly what you're saying. I just do not know exactly how to do that. But maybe we'll see what type of numbers or what type of message we can start putting out. And maybe can be what Tom just reported on, the difference between how much we are seeing the increase on the recycling, that people is more mindful about how they are putting out. Maybe this is a beginning that we can start spreading that information. But I appreciate that feedback. It's going to make us think and try to come up with some ideas that we can push the positive side of the collection, the new collection. Thank you.
I think that would be great if those numbers that Tom just showed us to hold for another month or two. I mean, that's concrete, concrete proof that this is working. And it's also showing us the benefit of the recycling that's sucking away the cost of the trash. And then we get into composting, which will only increase that drop in solid waste. So it gives Tom a whole quiver of ammunition to go after and build up a program or a project or just a program, let's call it that, to show to the public. Maybe it'd be great, public hearing. We could have a public hearing on something like that at one of the council meetings, and Tom presents the savings that we've come, or the drop in solid waste, and then what is that going to cost us? What are the dollars that we've saved as a result of something like that?
I think that's the big thing, Jim, is that if we did not do this, what would we all be faced with paying? So if you said, if we didn't do this program, it would cost the city an extra, I don't know, $10 million. I'm just throwing something out there, in which case each homeowner would be tax increase of $1,000. We thought this was a better alternative. And this way it's more spread out to the people who are using it more fairly. I think worst case scenario, and if we don't have people recycle more, what's the worst case scenario? What will it cost us? So the people really buy into, I'm going to reduce my waste so that my taxes don't go up.
Yeah.
That might be a good thing that we could share with people, maybe.
I mean, it goes, one of the things, we're all running for re-election, or at least some of us are, and wouldn't it be great to say, hey, when somebody says, why are my taxes going up? Well, because you're not recycling enough. And then you have the numbers, and you can just say, look right here,
If we can get those numbers down and we save $5 million, your taxes will go down probably each household by $300. That'll pay for an extra garbage can. I mean, we could use dots, do a little graphic.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing as the stormwater authority. If you have a stormwater authority and you can identify, where your issues are, and also your cost of that goes from the residential over to commercial. How about that?
So what you're saving as opposed to what we're about to hit you with as a new bill or an additional bill, I think is.
Yeah, well, you just finally, you complain about taxes and garbage. So you want a separate garbage bill? We can do that for you from now on. And from now on, garbage is free. All you have to do is pay for it. Or, your stormwater control. It's, we're going to just charge the people that are accountable for it.
Well, could we
argue with that?
almost have those figures? I mean, I don't get garbage pickup, so But if I hooked up to the sewer and got garbage pickup, how much would my taxes go up, you know?
Your taxes probably wouldn't.
What
go
would
much
it
at all.
cost me to have garbage
Just the
pickup?
sewer hookup is all that you're gonna.
I can, so if you,
I know it's out.
remember, the city is subsidizing. So I can give you more or less a number. It will cost us about average $200 per year to collect your garbage. You're gonna be paying, based on the mill rate, about $20 for each $100,000 of the assessment fee of your house. So let's say that if your house is assessed at $500,000, you would be paying the city $100. But the cost, so you're pretty much just paying half of what is really the cost. So these other $100 are being paid by everybody else.
But I
So-
think it's great, Vanessa, because if I say to somebody, you know what, your garbage costs the city $200 a year by buying a garbage can, instead of paying $400 in 2 years, we're saving you that $100. You're actually saving, because it's only a $300 garbage can, even though the city's still gonna be paying the 400, right?
800,
Yeah, that might
2 garbage cans.
be more understandable for some people. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think if we explain it in dollars and cents, people will understand it. You know, they just don't. The thing I keep saying about transparency is that we can be as transparent as we want. We are transparent. Anybody wants to find it, anybody can come to one of these meetings and find out all the numbers that they want. And, you know, but if you don't understand the numbers you're looking at, and you don't know how they work, then what's the sense? Then all of a sudden we're not transparent. Okay. Well, Tom, you're the guy who's going to get us out of this.
All right, yeah, I can definitely come up with some numbers for you guys and see what I can do. I don't know if you guys want to wrap up with the food scrap report, or if there's any other questions on garbage.
I think we put that in the can and covered up.
No more trash talking, please.
Okay, we got the puns going now.
Okay.
I love it.
Okay.
Go back to trees if you want. I don't know.
For the
Gotta say,
Chris-
just really quickly, I
Chris will
was
kill me.
envisioning Greg Burnett listening to that whole conversation the whole time you were asking about the trees. I was like, where's Greg? Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, we'd be still talking about it if Greg was here.
Heather, I think that almost every day. Where's Greg? Almost every day.
On the composting, doesn't look like I don't know, these numbers for some reason always jump around. I can't figure them out. I can't.
Yeah,
I mean, some of them are just seasonal cycles too.
I think it was a combination of July being maybe abnormally high, and then the month of August is sort of typically a low month. I think everyone's busy going on their last vacations and getting ready for school and things like that. It's just naturally a very busy month. So I think that kind of builds into the discrepancy of that month to month for these 2 months.
Yeah.
And then one thing I'll note is on our last year's data, we did see a little bit of a decline at Cranberry Park and an increase in the utilization of the Rowayton Community Center or the transfer station.
Yeah.
So I think that is probably going to continue. Any residents that might have overflow in garbage or recycling, hopefully they will take advantage of the compost drop-off location at the transfer station. And hopefully
So
all in-
have you had an opportunity to look at any other additional drop-off points that we could utilize, or getting the schools involved and as a drop-off point, or and going after them?
Just a quick geographic scan of the city. I identified some of like the city-owned properties and parks and things like that. And I did find like maybe Andrews Field, Broad River Park, or Fodor Farm could be potential sites in the future. But we're still sort of need to do a little bit more analyzation on if those are really the best spots, or as you mentioned, if there's a potential partnership that might be able to create a more enticing or incentivizing locations that are easier for residents to access.
Heather, Ms. Dunn?
I think Andrews Field is a great idea because they also have the cannon bottle drives every Saturday. So if people are dropping off their cannon bottles, you know, and the marching band parents and kids are there, it might be a good opportunity to have people there, and people could drop off stuff all at the same time. Sounds like a great idea.
How do we get something like that done, Tom?
Well, I just want to also, we have to check our permit because there's also an issue. One of the things that also hold us a little bit, we need a permit. We cannot just create a drop off. And part of the permit is that we need a place where we have staff working at all times. So that's why the previous locations were chosen like that. So we have to, again, we are trying to identify locations where it makes sense geographically, but now we have to make sure that we can really do it. So that's what it takes. It's a little bit of a process. There is also now, Andrews Field has been used as the main parking lot for the high school. So there is already a lot of traffic there. And remember, we need to collect that. We have to also give access for the collection on when we are removing that. That sometimes can happen depending on the volume, once or twice a week. So there is a lot of, on the operating side, we have to figure it out, a lot of things that we need to do on our end. So as of now, we are not ready to start a fourth place. We are trying to work on one of the things that now Tom and the team is doing is really refocus on education. Now that we have the collection kind of under control, they have been emphasizing a lot what goes in the garbage, what gets recycled. We're still offering a lot of other programs, like we had the mattress drop off on the same day of the Public Works open house. We still are offering the recycle pop-up day that has been extremely successful. We are pretty much, the vendor leaves with a food truck. So we're still trying to get a few other programs and educating people before we start investing in another site. As of now, if we're gonna ended up having another site, the earliest that we could do would be spring. It doesn't make sense to do it now in the middle of the winter.
Okay. So then we'll aim for March. Oh, that's great, Tom. We'll have maybe one or two in March then.
Yep, I'll see what I can do.
Okay. All right. Okay, any more comments for Tom? Okay, thanks a lot, Tom. You got a lot of weight on your shoulders over there. Well, you have some help now too, don't you?
Yep. Yeah, we did get some help on board. It's been great assistance and, you know, really preparing some great outreach campaigns. And I think it's really going to benefit the residents a lot.
Great. All right, thanks a lot, Tom. Mr. Meehan, you still around? Do you want to give us a quick rundown on some of the major projects we got underway?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Fair. Yes, so right now, a lot of we're still underway with a lot of our roadway projects. Grumman Avenue is nearly complete. All paving is done on Grumman, the entire run, and extruded curb has been installed everywhere. Most of the sidewalk has been complete. They are still working on some sidewalk and some driveways down near Newtown Avenue. Some of those driveways, they're a little tricky. They want to make sure everything is done right with that. And they'll follow up with some punch list items, grass areas and seating to that. So, but they're making very good progress with that. They have begun construction on Witch Lane on both segments. We have two, as you know, we have two separate projects going on Witch Lane. West side being administered by Grasso Construction, and they have done a lot of demolition, and they have also reclaimed a lot of the road itself. The other side of it, the other contractor is working slightly behind, but they started later, so they're also making decent progress. There's going to be continuous milling, and there'll be overlaying going on relatively soon with that. West Ave is a big one.
How long is that going to last, you know?
Well, after that they have to install the sidewalks themselves. So a lot of that depends on when they get the extruded curb contractor in. Paving itself shouldn't take long. They are continuously reclaiming. I imagine.
I mean, I'm just thinking about. I get a lot of questions from people how long the traffic detours are going to be and all that.
So
Well,
the contractor, I believe that by contract, they have to finish by December 15th.
Yes,
Ooh.
for that one, yes, they are. But I'm anticipating probably sooner than that. But yes, that's the
Yeah, we're hoping that will be sooner, but the contract has that.
Okay.
Wow.
Now,
Okay.
and
What is not, I know it sounds a lot, but if we think about it, we are only like 8 weeks from it. And
Okay, I'll explain that to people.
no, we will try to. We understand we're trying to move fast, but there's a lot of work that needs to get there done.
Yeah, I can see what it looks like.
And Flax Hill Road, the first segment, the western segment from Highland Avenue to Arbor Drive, the sidewalks have all been installed and all structures have been adjusted. Everything's been done there. They're actually going to be paving. They're going to start milling next week on the 14th, which I believe is Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. They'll be milling the area, and followed by paving right after that. It'll be probably a couple of days, so they could see, weather permitting and all other factors aside, they could see a substantial amount of the work complete by the end of next week on that side of Flax Hill Road.
And they'll take all that and they'll get rid of all that junk on Rampart.
By the park itself. No, that's part of the
Rampart.
other project of Flax Hill.
But they got all that stuff piled up on Rampart, on the corner of Rampart and Flax Hill. There's a lot of staging stuff that's still there.
Okay, well, anything over for that area itself, anything with that'll be removed. Anything for the Grasso's contract, for that particular section of the contract, should be removed quite soon after that, because as I said, they could be starting, if it's related to Grasso's contract, they could start removing it possibly early next week, but they want to concentrate their efforts on actually getting the road paved as quickly as possible. So, but beyond that,
Okay.
yes, all staging things will be removed beyond that, because they want to move on to their next project with us. So after that, they are going to be the next big project with that will be West Avenue, because they're going to start milling West Ave starting tomorrow and probably going into early Friday morning. Then they'll be scheduled for paving on Friday night. We're posting this on Facebook, on our social media, and all relevance to that. And so we're hoping that it'll start Friday night and go into Saturday sometime in the afternoon, probably be completed with that. Then beyond that, the other areas will be Berkeley area, Berkeley Road, and all the other adjoining areas around that. That will they've already put down a layer of asphalt on there. They have to put another layer on, but they'll probably finish that once they've paved the other area, once they paved Flax Hill Road and West Avenue, because that has to be their priority right now. So I don't believe there's any other major ones going. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Lockwood and Heather, the drainage project. They, as you know, the drainage work has been done for some time. They put temporary pavement in, and they're going to put the permanent patches in there. Excuse me, temporary and permanent patches, the various ones just for the time being. So they're going to start saw cutting tomorrow. And once they do that, they'll be able to, hopefully later in the week, weather permitting, they'll be able to start some of the temporary patches for that. The ones mostly on the ones on Lockwood, then Heather Lane as well. George Avenue gets permanent patches because we're not working on paving those just yet. I
Okay.
believe that's it for our major projects. There are smaller ones, but
Want
yeah.
to talk about West Cedar Bridge?
Oh, yes, yes. So that's still on schedule right now to be complete by December 15th. They're making very good progress with that. All the major substructures themselves are in, and they're scheduling. The piers itself has been in, all the arches have been placed in, and they're working on the wall itself, which Paul has been very diligent in keeping track of and coordinating a lot of efforts with that. So, but yes, everything else is on schedule to be complete for that.
Great, great. That'll make all those people very happy. Be just in time for when the traffic circle goes in.
Well,
No.
I think we'll be done before that. Yes.
I'm joking. Okay. Anybody have any questions for Jim? Okay, seeing none, is
No,
anybody?
can I also say one thing before you
Yes,
guys
you can.
adjourn? So the first thing that I want to say is that first, good luck for those that are running, but also I believe that we may not have the meeting next month because it is election day. I do not know if we're going to have items that we need to reschedule the meeting, or if it will be canceled. So because of that, and I'm not sure when I'll have the pleasure to work with you guys again, I just want to say thank you for all the support. I really appreciate all the support, the kind words, and all the ideas, and also the concerns that you share with me and my team. It is really a pleasure to work with this committee. I think that, we had only 4 items and we've been talking for an hour and 40 minutes, which means I will not make it to the gym, because I said to Jim that I was hoping that I was going to make it to the gym today, but it's all for a good thing. And I'm really thankful for all the support. I know that sometimes we may not agree, and sometimes I know that we get a lot of pressure from all sides, but I really appreciate it. I like the criticisms. I like the new ideas. It keep us motivated and make us do our work better. So I really want to say that, and also say that our open house was again a big success, and I'm grateful for all the team. Operations Chris did a very good job on getting the garage ready. Everybody was there, and we have over 1,200 people attending. So thank you.
Well, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
I think not only Vanessa, but Jim and Chris and Tom and Paul, all you guys just work so hard, and it's easy when you have all the answers, and if you don't have the answers, you go find them and put up with us and in our incessant questions. So
I do-
Barbara, do you have
and,
questions?
Yeah, if I could just add something though, so due to the change in the charter, the next term doesn't begin until January 1st. So there is a likelihood that we could have a December meeting, because we still are able to, contracts and things like that, things that absolutely have to be taken care of. So we may be still here in December,
So you're
our
gonna have to go
little
through this whole thing again?
our little group.
Okay.
Right. Whatever the case, it's been a pleasure to be on this committee. I've been on this committee since the beginning of, my time on the council, and had the real honor and pleasure to chair it and work with all of you. It's really been incredible.
No, I think it's been great, and
Yeah.
I think we've got a good diverse group of people that are not afraid to ask questions and share their opinions. So that makes it really worthwhile. So it's a good, I think it's a good synergistic group of people.
I just add one thing to that too. I also wanted to, I know I did it in person, but I did hijack Vanessa and Paul today with community members with an issue. And I think what was supposed to be a half-hour meeting turned into probably 2-3 hours. And I really appreciate it because they left feeling very validated and that they had access to information and that the city was supportive of them. And you made me look good, but it really wasn't me, it was you guys. So I so much appreciate it that you were so responsive to them because they really had an issue and you made them walk away feeling like they had a path and a great thing. And it's really nice to be able to say, hey, I need some maps for something, and knowing that you guys are gonna come with amazing maps and information. So thank you, Paul and Vanessa too, publicly. Thanks.
I
Well, that's
guess
some
I'm
great-
gonna say thank you, but I'll see you guys tomorrow. But thank you. But not just thank you to all of you on the screen. Thank you to Monique and Delene and all those folks that make this happen, you know, every month. And the whole department. We're doing good things. It's a lot of work. But we're doing it together. And so it's been fun.
Yeah. Well, it's not over yet.
It definitely isn't over.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
this should be over, right? Good night.
Are you gonna make that motion, Darlene?
I make a motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple of holdouts, but we'll let it go.
Okay.
Good night.
Okay,
Have
good
a
night,
good
everybody.
night.
Good night. Thank
Good night,
you.
everyone.